Crisis averted. 340,000 UPS workers will not be going on strike next week.
We shut Brown down.
What would have been the largest single employer strike in U.S. history. A 10-day strike would have cost the U.S. economy $7 billion, according to Anderson Economic Group. But the threat of a strike alone has highlighted how dependent we are on just a few players in the parcel industry, an industry that is growing leaps and bounds as we shop more online. How long can the status quo hold up? Patrick Penfield is with me to talk about the state of it all. He's a professor of supply chain practice at Syracuse University. Patrick, UPS controls a quarter of the U.S. market. Was there any way that the other players were going to be able to step up to fill this void?
No. So we've averted a catastrophe. So, thankfully, the strike was settled. If it did happen, it would have been a nightmare as far as the supply chain goes in the United States.
What are the biggest takeaways given that? Averting a catastrophe, it seems dangerous to be relying so much on one player.
Yeah, and that's the dilemma that we have in a lot of industries within the United States. We've got these oligopolies, and so we've got these sectors where we have 4, 5, 6 big players, and then if something happens to one, it impacts everyone. And so that's the dilemma that we have here in the United States.
ShipMatrix said that USPS, the Postal Service, would have been able to absorb 30 million extra packages a day. Do you see that as at all possible?
I think they could have, but it would have been something over time, right? So that's the thing. They just don't have that extra capacity to be able to absorb it right away. So, over a 6-month period, a year period, absolutely, they probably could have. But no, if this strike had happened, it would have caused a lot of delays and a lot of issues within the U.S. supply chain.
We haven't really seen a new player come into the space. The nearest one would be Amazon, which basically was stepping up to solve a problem they created, which was us relying more on, hyper fast shipping. 4 players dominating 98% of the market share. Do you see room for new players here?
It's hard. It's really difficult to penetrate that market. And the reason being is, just the upstart cost, right? So you've got to have the infrastructure, you've got to have the distribution, you've got to have, the workers. And so that's kind of the dilemma. That's why it's really hard, to set up a shop to be able to compete against those 4. DHL was at one time, and they're still here in the States, but they had a difficult time trying to set up their operation. And so, just that experience alone tells you that it's really hard to kind of penetrate that market space. And so this is why it's difficult for small players, to be able to get the economies of scale to compete against those 4.
Shipping to me is a little bit like Jenga. All of these big players rely on each other to get that product across the finish line. USPS delivers the last mile for a lot of parts of the country. What sort of cracks does this bring up as the industry grows?
Well, it brings up a whole bunch of different types of issues and problems. And so the one being, again, that last mile. Everybody is trying to get things done faster and get things quicker to customers. And so, everybody's trying to figure out how to do that. And we think automation may be the key to, getting that done in the future.
I was looking up some of the projections moving forward. The U.S. parcel industry is looking to push out about 22 billion packages in 2023. And they project that will go up to 28 billion by 2028. That is, in 5 years' time, a 27% increase. So do you see automation being helpful in the next 5 years, or what needs to happen to be able to prop up that level of increase?
Yeah, absolutely. This is where, and we're seeing it now, automation is here. It's just a question of cost and being able to, to lower the costs from an economies of scale standpoint. So absolutely, that is going to be the whole key to being able to increase capacity quick and fast and be able to manage that amount of packages that are being coming through the system. And
how expensive is that last mile?
Last mile is really expensive. And so, again, everybody is trying to figure out how to do that better. We think drones, automated guided vehicles, things of that nature will help, and the big cost with last mile is labor. Mm-hmm. Trying to make sure that you have enough labor to be able to get customers what they need. So if we can replace it with automation, it'll make things go a lot faster. And then we'll see even more of a surge with small packages.
Do you see the workforce in this area declining because of that automation, or is the demand so great that they'll balance out?
Yeah, unfortunately, I do believe it will decline. Next 10 years, you'll probably see maybe 25% less workers. And then as we progress, more years pass, you'll see even less workers. And so that's the unfortunate thing with technology. It will displace workers. And so hopefully, we can find new roles and new opportunities for those folks.
Patrick Penfield of Syracuse University, thank you so much for your time today.
You're very welcome, Simone. It's great talking to you.
Thanks for watching. In this time of media mistrust, Straight Arrow News is on a mission to bring you unbiased, fact-based reporting. So like and subscribe to Straight Arrow News below. And to see all of our content, go to straightarrownews.com.